Hawthorn's got lots of different names. It has the name Haggathorn, which is Anglo-Saxon, and Hagga means hedge, so that gives us some idea of how it's always been used. It's also known as the May blossom because in historic times it always used to come out in May with these beautiful flowers. And it's also known as the bread and cheese tree, and that's because in times of hardship people used to eat the leaves. Now these are actually out a little bit too long, they're quite tough, so I'm not going to try that today, but I think you'd have to be pretty desperate to eat them really. Well, hawthorn's quite distinctive, although there are lots of species that come out with white flowers in the spring. What's particularly notable about hawthorn is these lobed leaves, and also the fact that the leaves come out first before the flowers. Other species like blackthorn and cherry plum, it's the other way round, and they tend to have oval shaped leaves without these little segments in them. So it's not so much that the flowers are distinctive, but the leaves are. And normally you'd look out for hawthorn during April and May. Although in recent years what we've been finding is that hawthorn's been coming out earlier and earlier, up to 2 weeks earlier in the last 30 years, because it's a very, very temperature responsive species. And so in fact the name May is a bit of a misnomer, because often our average date for these first flowering is actually in April, which seems strange, apart of course for 2013, which was the latest record that we have for many years, because it was the coldest spring for 50 years. Well, these blossoms are actually fully out, but we ask people to record first flowering, and that's really when most of the flowers are still in bud. There's just a few open, and they're just beginning to open so that you can see the flower inside. The other distinctive thing about hawthorn is it's quite smelly. And some people say it's a nice fragrance, and other people say it's a bit more like cat wee, so I'll leave that to you to decide. A gentleman called Robert Marsham, who lived in Norfolk, recorded something called his Indications of Spring, and for hawthorn he started recording in 1753, and we have records of hawthorn flowering from that time, more or less right up until the present day. So it's extremely useful to continue recording this species because we've got such a long biological written record for it.